Let's do some experiments to show how incredibly sensitive the Osmose is to the touch. I've been playing around with the sensitivity controls, and I think everyone needs to do this for themselves to get sweet spots on playing for different techniques. So here I've set the pressure sensitivity to its lightest. I've programmed a gate so the split second that the Osmose detects gate, you'll hear a tone, and then I put a crossing on where aftertouch should come in, and you'll hear where aftertouch is in relationship to the sensitivity set on that. So right now I have pressure set to the lightest touch and aftertouch coming in as soon as it can. Let's play a note. Look how little I have to press to get that note to gate at its minimum pressure setting. Hardly at all. Unbelievable sensitivity to pressure. Now you can induce vibrato even at this light pressure, but obviously it's not easy. But let's continue now. So let me press down to the aftertouch. There you can hear when that came in. So that's where aftertouch is at its lightest setting. Now if I try and play vibrato at this setting, it's going to be difficult unless I only press down halfway, because my aftertouch sensitivity is set so light that the minute I get to the aftertouch area, it'll trigger. Well, let me set aftertouch down now, and I'll set that to its actual low value setting. To set it to its most sensitive setting, you set it to its maximum. To set aftertouch so that it triggers as late as possible, you set it to 0. Let's do the same thing. You can see you have to press a little more to the key bed to get Y to come in. And now, if I try and do vibrato, I can actually go down to the spot where I feel some pressure, and Y is not going to trigger. This is what the videos don't really show when they say they can't do vibrato too well. I'm actually feeling the pressure of the aftertouch area, but because I set aftertouch low, I can do my vibrato now without having to worry about that aftertouch effect kicking in before I want it to. If I had gone back and set my aftertouch to its lighter setting, you see, it's very difficult now for me to do a vibrato. My vibrato is kicking into that aftertouch area as I press down. For me to do the vibrato, I have to do it well above that area now. So play with that aftertouch and get it to a value where you can play your vibrato. That's still a little bit too high. Let me set it a little lower. Okay. This way you can impose that vibrato and you don't have to be conscious about only going a little bit of the way down to give yourself a nice vibrato. It feels a little more natural, at least to me, to be able to press down a bit to get vibrato. Obviously, if I press through the aftertouch area, I'm going to get my trigger the way I programmed it here. Well, let's do the opposite now. Let's go to pressure. Let me set pressure now to kick in at its maximum. In other words, pressure now will not trigger a note until the maximum pressure you set, max value here. And on aftertouch, just to show you, let me set that so that it comes in as soon as possible. This is a setting you probably don't ever want to do because your aftertouch and your pressure are going to be right on top of each other. But it just shows you how flexible this instrument is to be able to set pressure in all these different ways. And I'm just setting mostly min and maxes. You can set all these different values in between. So let's now press. You'll see the aftertouch will be right on top of the pressure now because the note is not going to trigger. I set the pressure to be as high as possible, and there, at this point, the beginning of aftertouch is just right on top of where the beginning of pressure is. Now, maybe that's useful for certain cases where you'll program something. And of course, now in this situation, you can't do any vibrato without going into the aftertouch area, of course. So there's also the bend setting that affects vibrato. But just looking at pressure, this instrument is incredible. What other instrument can let you be so flexible in how you're setting your response for pressure? None that I know of.